So, okay, next tutorial. Today, I'm meant to be dressed up as my take on a sleep paralysis demon. I just really wanted to create a creature that was entirely silent, kind of like it could enter your room or crawl out from under your bed unnoticed until it was too late. Fun. I also wanted to create something that has a little bit of story to it, hence the symbols and the wounds. I did really enjoy making this one. It also kind of has a Rake 2.0 vibe to it, doesn't it? So yeah, Fluffies, if you'd like to learn how to recreate this sticky monster madness for yourself, stay tuned. Okie dokie, so to start this makeup off, I will of course be blocking out both of my eyebrows. I'll also be popping on a plain latex ball cap because I want to be nice and smooth and shiny. So of course, as always, I'll be popping 2 links on the screen up there that will take you to 2 videos that I did in the past. That will teach you how to do both those things just to save some time up in this video. It is worth noting that when you block out your eyebrows, make sure to add an extra layer of spirit gum after the initial layer of spirit gum and then synthetic wax, just to make sure they're completely sealed because I will be going over this area in liquid latex. So yeah, I'm gonna go block out my eyebrows, pop on a bald cap, and we shall go from there. So there we are. So as you can see, I also went around the edge of my bald cap with about 3 more layers of liquid latex just to really blend off that edge. I also covered both my ears because I think it really helps make everything look a lot more streamlined, plus it really does help change the face shape. So now that we're sufficiently smooth, we can start working on the next step. So the main point of this makeup is I wanted there to be this really giant kind of wound on the face, kind of like it's been scratched, but in the shape of a giant smile. So to achieve that effect, I'm going to be blocking out my mouth completely. Just make sure if you're going to do this step to leave your nose completely clear because breathing it's pretty good. So just make sure to stop the latex before you get to your nostrils. So because I'm not going to be able to talk during the rest of this tutorial, I'm going to switch over to a voiceover now. So to block out my mouth, I'm going to be using liquid latex and a sponge, and I'm going to take the sponge, dip it in the latex, and then apply that to the mouth and surrounding areas and then let that dry. I'm then going to repeat the process 2 to 3 times. Okay, so once the mouth is completely covered, we can work on building up the area. To do that, I'm going to take some regular toilet tissue that I've already separated into thinner sheets and just gently tear it into smaller pieces, not much bigger than this. I'm then going to take my sponge and apply some more liquid latex to a small area of my mouth, and then take the smaller piece of tissue and apply that directly to the wet latex. I can now apply another coat of latex to that tissue until it is completely saturated and pressed down. The plan then is to repeat that process around the entire mouth area, working with roughly the same size tissue pieces as before, but going back further and further until the entire area is nicely built up. We're then going to repeat that process 4 to 5 times until the area is nice and thick. Usually I'd suggest that you let each layer dry before you apply the next, however it's super important that the top few layers remain wet, just so we can manipulate the wet latex to achieve the desired scratch effect later. So now that we have everything built up nicely, we can work on making the scratches. So to do that, you're going to need something that can make long indents in the wet latex going down the mouth. I'm going to be using a makeup spatula for mine because it's quite dull, so completely safe. You could also use a spoon or maybe a cotton bud handle, just so long as it's not sharp. I'm going to take my spatula and then just gently score straight down over the latex, going across the entire area of my mouth, making sure to do it in a pattern that resembles a smile. So the long lines you want in the middle, then taper them off into smaller lines at the edge, going further and further up the face. There we are, so when you're done it will look something like this. So whilst the latex on the mouth is drying, we can start working on the brow area. So just as before, I'm going to take my sponge and dip that into the liquid latex and then apply that all over my brow area. I'm then going to repeat that process 2 to 3 times, making sure to let it dry in between each layer. The effect that I'm going for is this really overly expressive, demonic, angry brow. So then, just like how we built up the mouth area, we're going to build up the brow. So I'm going to take some more liquid latex and apply that to small areas at a time, then take the small pieces of separated tissue, press them into it, and then coat that tissue in more latex. I'm then going to continue that process going across the entire forehead area, making sure that there are more layers in the middle than there are the edges, because we ideally want the latex and tissue to taper off. So you want really around 6 layers in the middle, then 4 layers just after that, and eventually 2 layers towards the edges. It does also really help if you press the layers down in the middle using your thumbs to help shape the brow just before it dries to really help amplify that angry expression. So there we go! Once everything is nice and dry, it'll look something like this. So as you can see, in addition to pushing down the brow with my thumbs whilst it was drying, I also made 2 arches just at the peak of the brows to make the new expression lines, just to really help sell the expression. The next step is going to be to colour in our foundation. So I'm going to be using an alcohol colour palette for this, just so the base doesn't look too flat. The palette that I'm going to be using is a lighter flesh tone palette from Nils Materials because it has a really nice range of skin tones to better match my own. But there are of course however many other colour palettes available for different tones. And of course to use alcohol activated colours you will need 99% alcohol. So because I'm going for quite a pale look, I'm going to be using a mixture of the first 5 colours in this palette spackled all over my face in a random pattern in various layers so there isn't just one area of block colour. Then, once the base is underway, I'm going to go back to my flesh tone palette and use a mixture of the blue, greens and reds under the eyes and around the face in between layers of skin tone. This will help break everything up and make things look a lot more bruised under the skin. So now we can start working on breaking everything up with some spackle. I'm going to be using a black alcohol colour from a Skin Illustrator palette in Effects, but really you could absolutely do this with a watered down black face paint if you wanted to. I just really like the translucency of alcohol colours. And to apply that colour, I like to use a really stiff brush for this, almost like a toothbrush. That way I can really load up the colour on the brush and then brush and flick it towards the area that I want. In this case it's going to be all over the face in random areas. So then we can start working on colouring in the eye area. So to get it extra dark, I'm going to be using a black cream from my Makeup Forever Flash palette, and I'm going to be applying that to the entire eye area, making sure not to get too much on our new angry brow, and I'm going to be setting that with a Sugarpill eyeshadow in Bulletproof, so black, with a medium fluffy brush. The eyeshadow will also help to blend the colour out afterwards. Okay, so as you can see, I added a couple more lines with the black cream scoring downwards just under the eyes, and I also added some more of the black spackle around the eyes too. I just think it looks a lot more sinister this way. I'm then going to take a really sharp angle brush and the same black cream from before, and I'm going to apply that to the scratch lines going down and around the mouth area. Make sure when you do this to taper the lines away on both the top and the bottom. So there we go, nice and smiley. So the next step for this makeup is to add a symbol to the forehead. Now obviously this is completely optional, but I really wanted to add something to help make the character a bit more unique and kind of give it a bit more personality and backstory. The symbol that I'm going to be using is just something I made up. It doesn't really mean anything, it's just something that I think will help add a bit of mystery to the character, and I'll be using a red face paint by Superstar to paint this on. Then, to make that symbol pop out just a little bit more, I'm going to be using a small amount of fake blood. The blood that I'm going to be using is by Fleet Street in their Dark Blood. I'm then going to go back in with my lighter flesh tone palette and I'm going to take the bright red from it and spackle it around the symbol and the mouth areas using the same spackle technique from before. You could also use the same red face paint for this instead if you like, just make sure it's really watered down first. So then it's time for the fun part. It's time to make the mouth extra bloody. To do this, I'm taking the same Fleet Street fake blood from before, although this time I've watered it down quite a bit, and I'm going to apply that with a really large fluffy brush directly to the mouth area in dabbing motions. So there we go. As an extra step to make the blood stay in place, I also took some extra strength hairspray and applied that in a tiny amount going around the entire mouth area. Then, finally, this next step is for the costume. So you could of course wear a physical costume for this look, however I'm not going to, as I really want this character to have visible cuts and scratches and bruises. So if you wanted to go down that route, you could paint it on the same way as I did with the face, with the black cream, the red spackle and fake blood. However, I like to use like various different techniques in my videos so more people are able to recreate these looks in different ways. So, for that reason, I'm going to be using some fake tattoos of different style wounds that I got from eBay. They're just really small wounds that are super simple to apply. You just peel off the clear layer on top, pop the tattoo down on the pattern side down onto dry skin, then you apply some water via a cloth onto the back of it. Then, once it's completely saturated in the water, you can peel off the paper and that's it, one temporary tattoo. So I'm going to be applying quite a few of these in random areas all over my neck, shoulders and chest. I'm also going to be using the same black and red spackle from before all over the same areas, except this time I'm going to be quite a bit heavier with the red colour, just so everything looks a lot more bruised, scratched and really sore looking. There we are, freshly wounded and freshly bruised. Ouch. So then all that's left for me to do is to pop in some contact lenses, add some more fake blood to my neck area so it looks like it's dripping from the mouth, and we can see what everything looks like. And there we go! That's my look. Officially complete. So, as I mentioned before, I finished the look off by popping in some black and white sclera contact lenses, which I think help make the look sufficiently creepy enough for this character. And I also popped on some more watered down fake blood on my neck area. Nice and sticky. And yeah, that's my look. It has a hint of the creepypasta character The Rake, doesn't it? Or maybe even a hint of Clive Barker. All it's really missing is some chains and hooks. I think you can tell I had a lot of fun making this one, although it's probably hard to tell under my expression. It's a fun makeup to do really, and it's completely interchangeable, which I think is really fun. Like the wounds on the body could be in different places, or the symbol on the forehead could be completely different if you wanted it to be. It's really up to you just got to have fun with it really. And just before I end this video, I do want to say an extra special amazing thank you to my wonderful Patreon fluffies. You're all so amazing and I love making my little behind the scenes things for you guys. It's always a pleasure, so thank you. But yeah, fluffies, I really hope you all enjoyed this makeup. Thank you all so much for watching it. If you did like it, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe and all that jazz. And yeah, so until next time, bye fluffies!